Hi, so this is Sweta, and I've been into this field as a Reiki healer since 13 years now. And I've only learned Reiki as like in a professional way as a certificate course. But then eventually I came across a lot of other things that I learned myself, and I was guided by a lot of angels, I would say, a lot of spirits, the positive, the lighter spirits that have come through uh, all these years. They've just been there to guide me through all the healing techniques that I've known till now. That includes the crystal healing, the aromatherapy, uh, being a claircognizant, dealing with the lost souls, more on the darker souls than the lighter ones. Hopefully, I'll see the lighter ones soon, as per the last predictions done by Gurjoji. So yeah, so I've been through this journey for quite some while. I actually have been able to see the spirits since I was 8 years old. It used to be very foggy sort of reflection before. It wasn't in a clear form, but since past few years, it has come to me as a very clear. Uh, I can actually see them. I can describe them very well now. So that has been changed in a while, and yeah, they do come asking for all sort of help. Sometimes it may or may not be genuine because they're in the form where they do not realize what time, I mean, how much time has passed. So that explains the non-genuine ones because they've been lost for many years, and sometimes when they're in a realm where they want to take revenge against somebody, and it's already like too late because the person who they were looking for have already passed on and they've moved on to the next phase, whereas they're still stuck here. So yeah, I've come across a lot of those souls. Sometimes it's difficult to deal with them because they can't relate to the current timing in the human form. And sometimes it's easier because the moment they realize, right away they see the light and they move on. So um, yeah, it has been an amazing experience knowing a lot about what it is after death and how the kind of feelings people, like the souls, go through after death. So it's an amazing experience.
Okay. So when you talk about dark souls and light souls, is there a difference, or people who are actually just knowing souls as lost souls, meaning the one who have died and have left the earth's plane in a physical body, or probably still on a earth's plane but not in a physical body? So what is the difference between dark souls and light souls, and should a healer be actually be careful of dark souls so much?
They should be, yes, especially when a person is new to dealing with the spirits. They have to be very uh, they have to be well trained, I would say, in terms of first grounding their own self, creating a shield around them, protecting themselves, so that the energies are not their personal energies are not disturbed by the darker souls, because then it's very exhausting. It's very I'd say it's very tiring in a human body form for us healers. It becomes very sometimes you even go through the pain that they've went through, just because not because they're trying to hurt you, but they're trying to explain what it is to be in their situation. So that is how they'll make you realize what they're feeling, and it could be dangerous, I would say, in a human form for us to deal with those things. So unless and until we know how to protect ourselves using crystals or grounding techniques, the meditative techniques, it's important not to move further with those, not to deal with them unless you're 100% ready with your own protection first.
So as
So
a healer, now I'm talking about not on the perspective of the client, but as a healer, you must have come across dark souls and probably light souls as well. Could you give us real case examples, of course keeping the names confidential, Could you give us examples of dark souls? Exactly what all you went through as a healer. Now, I'm not talking about the client, what you did for the client. I'm now asking you as a healer, what you experienced and how you had to take care of yourself when you were in touch with the dark soul. So, one is that, and you can also share one experience like when you had lighter souls, and you can share the experience how you helped a client with lighter
Okay,
souls. Yeah.
right. So initially, I'll go with the darker soul first. Um, so I've recently, I would say just a few months back, I've had an experience with a darker soul where a person called me from another city asking me to help him out because he while he took a few photographs, he did feel something strange on his photographs. So he shared those photographs with me, and uh, he's a very normal person, but then when the photograph came out, it was very dark for some reason, and only his face used to be dark, whereas the entire body was normal colored. So he found it very strange because out of 5 photographs, 3 of those photographs were similar with a darker face. So he shared a photograph asking if I could help him. So I went through the photograph, and the moment I saw the photo, I realized exactly what had happened. I got a vision, and I could see the spirit that was attached to that person. Um, Definitely, the moment I could see the soul, the dark soul, I wouldn't use word dark at this point. The moment I saw the soul, the lost soul, it he could also see me at the same time, and then I believe it gave him an idea that he had someone he could communicate with. So right away, the very next instance, I see him right in front of me while I was in Ahmedabad. Um, so yeah, I was trying to deal with that person, with the soul. I was trying to ask him out a lot of things, and that's when I started to feel very, I would say, very exhausted. My energies were draining out, and that's when I realized that I was actually a very dark soul, and it has been wandering around for almost 40 years. So it's been a very long time, and he has been trying to communicate with every person who passes by the area that this guy picked up with this soul energies. So yeah, as soon as he found me who could communicate with him, and I'm talking with the soul here. uh, he he was very aggressive in nature at the time, in the beginning. So I was trying to ask him questions, and he would just come up on random times while even I'm cooking or while I'm driving. So he'll come up at random times. He'll be very aggressive, and while he's around me, I start feeling my heartbeats going really fast because I'm not grounded at that moment. I'm feeling very exhausted with his energies, and I do feel this very depressive sort of a thing on me at the time, because that's exactly what he was feeling. So he was trying to make me feel what it was like to be in his state. So definitely, then I had to cut him off. If I'm driving, I have to cut him off right there, and not communicate with him at that particular moment because I wasn't ready. I wasn't protected at that moment. So I had to cut him off and not, answer him or not even deal with him at the moment. But then eventually, while I'll go home, I'll first ground myself, and I'll use the grounding technique, of course. And then I'll ask him out, and right away he appears once again. And that's when he starts to, eventually communicate that he was murdered before 40 years. He was actually burned alive, and he was dug out in the place where this person was on a stroll in the morning. So that's why this guy, he picked up his energies, the spiritual energies, and that's why his photograph came out all dark, because this guy was burned. So he's trying to show him that what state he was in before he died.
Yeah.
So that was a little exhausting at the time. And And then eventually, while I was actually making tea for myself, and that's when all of a sudden, like, I was pouring tea into my regular cup. And before I pick up the cup, this spirit comes by, and all of a sudden it breaks the cup. And the tea spills on my body, and it burns me like anything. So like apart from uh, being grounded and being protected, it still could damage you, because it's trying to make me feel what it felt like before he died, the burning sensation. So I did realize what he was trying to say. He wasn't trying to hurt me, but unintentionally, that spirit was definitely trying to explain it to me, what state he was in when he died, and how unhappy he was.
Okay.
So yeah, that was one of the experiences I went through. And then eventually, after a few sessions with him, I could feel that he had gotten lighter um, on the spiritual level, and then eventually he found light and he moved on. So yeah, that was one of the recent examples that I've been through with the darker souls. With the lighter souls, I've been through many, and they're very easy to deal with because they don't drain out your energies. It's easier to deal with them. Um, I would say a few months back, one of my friends called me in Ahmedabad, of course, and he's like, I don't know, so I sense somebody is in my house, and I don't know why, I keep sensing somebody around me despite I don't see them with my eyes. So he called me up and he's like, can you please check it out, because I think something is not right here. So I go out to his apartment, and I see this old lady who was actually a former owner of the apartment that he was renting it out. So she was very old, maybe in the early 80s or mid 80s,
Mhm.
and she had passed away in her sleep. So she didn't quite know that she had died. She was still in a confusing state where she thought that she was alive and people were ignoring her, and yet living in her apartment. That was something very unique, because I never knew that spirits would actually go through such a phase where they're not even sure they're dead. So eventually, I told her that nobody was ignoring her. On the contrary, she was dead, and she had to move on. And when she realized that, the very next day, I could sense that she was gone. So it's easier to deal with the lighter spirits, because it's just that they're in some kind of confusion, or they're just they have some work undone, unfinished work that they want to take care of before they move on. So they're easy to deal with, and it's way more quicker for us to send them into the light.
I know others also might be having their questions, but before I put the platform onto others to question you, I have my own question. What makes a soul a dark soul?
I think, as per the experiences I've been through, a soul gets darker as the time passes by. In our, of course, there is no time and space in the spiritual form, but for us, it's like many, many years that they've been wandering around since. And one thing is the amount of time they've spent looking for the answers. And the second thing is that they're in some kind of revengeful energies where they've died an uncertain death, unexpected death. Somebody murdered them. Somebody uh, cheated them. I've also come across a lot of cases where the souls were cheated upon before they died. So those kind of souls, yes, eventually they keep getting aggressive over a period of time, because they're not getting answers to their questions, and they're not happy with the way they died. I've even seen a few darker souls, because where their energies grow darker in regards to the emotional bonding with their families,
Okay.
because they see their families being hurt so badly with their passing away. Um, so they get frustrated more and more seeing them in this condition. and not being able to help them out, not being able to answer them,
Mhm.
and still seeing them in the way they are suffering with the grief of person passing away. So
Right.
that is one of the reasons why, which makes them even more darker, because they can't see their families. The emotional bonding is still there. They're not, even this, the physical form has left, their emotional bonding haven't.
Mhm.
So that is one of the reasons why they get more frustrated and irritated, which makes them dark.